friends and fellow Simmerstorians, welcome back to another episode of my Victorian Sims 2 challenge. I hope you all had a lovely holiday if you do celebrate. We are right back with the Kings. Also, do you like my new lights? I just got them. I'm really excited. That's a stick I just found at a beach somewhere. We've had a little bit of drama happening with the King household recently. So if you remember, Daisy got pregnant and had to break off her engagement with our dear and lovely Septimus, and her parents aren't exactly taking it very well. You can see that Louisa is having a little existential crisis in the back garden while her new daughter-in-law, Roosevelt, kind of looks on. And Roosevelt is from a fairly lower middle to just proper middle class family. She is the daughter of Della, who is now married to her second husband, Bertram Jung. So he kind of married a Jung family, which isn't exactly like as socially like acceptable as it would have been, but we've had a little bit of drama happening, and I think that kind of marrying slightly down almost makes sense for this household. We do have our maid here. This is Meredith Ellis, and she is taking care of the whole household by herself. That's right. She is the only maid that we actually have in this house at the moment. I have some regrets about it, especially because she is preparing for a big feast tonight. I decided to have my Sims have a little Christmas dinner, a little family reunion with all of the distantly related kings in the neighborhood. So that does include family members like from the Holloways and from the Lawsons, as well as Charles King and his new bride. Unfortunately, Marisol is also starting to struggle a little bit. We can see her kick over the garbage can and just being a pain in my neck, if we're being honest. These Sims just don't want to listen to me recently, and it's fine. Thankfully, Meredith does listen to me. She is probably the most well-managed Sim in this entire household at the moment. And because it is fall, we have leaves everywhere. It's almost about to turn into winter. I think we might actually be day one of winter, so we still have a lot of leaves around. It's just so much that our maid is exhausted. It's only 1 p.m. and Meredith has already just like given up. I mean, okay, she hasn't given up. We're just letting her take a little nap, have a little rest before all of the chaos actually begins for the formal party. We're not having everyone over until like I think 8 or 9. It's gonna be kind of a late party, so I decide that it would be really cute to send Ernabelle out to have a little date in the public gardens. It's, you know, they haven't really had a particularly romantic relationship because she has been a little bit younger than him and he's sort of holding off until she feels totally comfortable being romantic. But she ages up into an adult today, and so I thought it was a good time just to let them, like, I don't know, have a little fun, get out of the house, because the house has been just a bit of a nightmare. And we can see that Roosevelt does develop a little crush. They actually have an autonomous first kiss. Like, I had nothing to do with that. They just, like, took it upon themselves to have a good time, enjoy each other's company, and you know what? They're married. It's not exactly the most appropriate thing that they would be doing this in public, but they're married, and, like, compared to Daisy, like, do whatever you want. Like, you can't make this situation any worse, if we're being honest. And because Roosevelt's one true hobby is sports, they do oftentimes break into a little bit of game of catch here and there. It feels like the most appropriate thing that they could actually do when it comes to these two having a date. And so they're just having a nice little good time, having a ball, and they retire into the conservatory just to have a little chat inside of the greenhouse. There are a few benches in there, and mostly no one is in there. It's actually completely empty while they're hanging out in there. So they do have a little bit of privacy nestled among the plants for a cute little snuggle. And you know what? I'm like, let it happen. I am all about giving these two a little bit of love, a little bit of privacy. Everyone else is sort of outside fishing and playing chess. So it's really no big deal. It's really no scandal that they're having a little snuggle. Besides, like I said, they're married. It's totally fine. And I mean, how cute are they? Seriously. Honestly, I cannot wait for these two to have kids. I feel like their kids are going to be so cute. And finally, we might break the blonde genes in this household. I mean, there are so many blondes in the King family as well. Like, we do have Charles, who's the only brunette in Ernest's generation. And we catch Cornelius in the servants' quarters literally talking to Septimus. So we'll just say Cornelius is writing letters to Septimus because he very much misses Septimus. Septimus was a big part of their life for, you know, quite a while. And like, it's gotta be hard on Daisy's family, who built up these connections, built up these relationships with Septimus, and then they kind of have to pretend like he doesn't exist in public, but in private they sneak off to the servants' quarters and they're like, oh my god, Septimus, how are you? I heard about your wedding. I'm sorry we couldn't attend, but like, I hope you got the flowers we sent. Because of course the Kings would send him flowers. Like, they want him to do well. They understand why Septimus couldn't marry their daughter. So it is now time for our little dinner party. We have Charles there, and Philippa and her son Nathaniel Lawson is here. Nathaniel, hi. I really love Nathaniel. He turned out so cute. And we've got Alexander here. Alexander is married to Marcella, who's playing the violin in the background. And their daughter is here as well, Noemi. So here's Noemi. She's talking to one of the wards of the convent. I don't know how he snuck in here because he's not actually related to them, but he was one of Charlotte's wards. So we're just gonna say that, oh, we can't even say that Charlotte invited him because Charlotte's dead. That wave of trauma just came back. Came all the way back. And so everyone is sitting down for a nice little feast. I did decide to kind of cheat a little bit because we only have one maid. There was just no chance that I was going to, you know, be able to actually cook food for this many Sims. I had actually intended on there being more Sims than there are currently, but unfortunately my game just said no and kept trying to crash every single time I tried to have more than like 10 people on the lot. 10 guests. We can handle about 10 guests on this lot and nothing more, which, like, you know, it's fine. I kind of understand considering how big this lot is and how highly decorated this lot is. Unfortunately, Louisa is having a little existential crisis in the midst of the party and is kind of throwing a fit. She's got her little aspiration failure baby sack. I do think Louisa is ready for grandkids, so hopefully Ernest and Roosevelt can get on that fairly quickly, if you will. We have Roosevelt aging up into an adult, which is something I have been eagerly awaiting so I can have her and her husband start to work on the grandkids in the house, because we know Louisa is really eager. I think Louisa's actually been rolling once for grandchildren too. It's not just me being like, oh, maybe she wants babies. Like, no, Louisa really wants the babies. And everyone is gathering into the kitchen. There wasn't really space to have the birthdays in the dining hall, so we just decided to move everything into the kitchen. There's a little more space for everyone to wander around and circle as Sims in The Sims 2 do when they're actually having birthdays. These are also some custom cakes that I really love. They work really well for historical games. You can probably grab them in the Discord. I don't actually remember where I got them. And here she is. She's an adult and she aged up very poorly. Oh no, Roosevelt, I am so sorry. She's so cute and so sad. So I believe that Roosevelt as an adult is starting to have a lot of questions about who her father is, because the only man she's known in her life is Bertram Jung, who is her stepfather, and her mother Della refuses to talk about who Roosevelt and Hiram's father actually is. So hopefully she'll be able to kind of unearth some answers a little bit later on in the series. We'll see. As a reminder, Della and her kids are from Alfreda Isle, which is Lady Simmer's neighborhood. So it is now time for Cornelius to have his birthday, and hopefully not have as much of an existential crisis as his daughter-in-law, although let's be real, I wouldn't put it past Cornelius to collapse into a mental breakdown on his birthday. He gives off existential vibes pretty much every 5 minutes. Here is Roosevelt. I think she's adorable. I decided to give her a more adult updo because she's not a kid anymore, and she has such a baby face that I figured it was going to be hard for me to actually make her look like an adult. And unfortunately, she's still having, I think this is a popularity aspiration failure, and she's just feeling really, really down. I don't know. I think she's feeling a little bit displaced in her life because she came from such humble upbringings. She was actually raised for the first several years of her life before her mom married Bertie in a very lower class cottage, and her mom was just working as a maid for Bertie. And of course, autonomously, these two immediately get to canoodling, so we're just gonna give them some privacy and not get me monetized and just pan down and see what's happening in the other places of the house. So it's almost time to take down this setting, and before we do, of course, Meredith has to do a little bit of cleaning. I will be really sorry to see this setting go because it took me so long and several crashes to actually get it set up, but that's just the tricks of the trade with The Sims 2. Prepare for crashes, save every 5 minutes. And thankfully, Louisa and Cornelius do still have a little bit of romance that's actually going on between the two, even though he is an elder and she's not quite an elder yet, although Louisa will become an elder soon. Unfortunately, neither of them is exactly happy with their current state in life. I think they both thought that being in the proper upper class would make their lives easier, and instead they're both constantly worried about reputation, about their daughters, about how are they going to marry off Marisol now that no one in town wants anything to do with them who's currently in their social class. So I think they know that they're going to have to marry down for Marisol, and Marisol has a lot of aspirations for fashion, and she wants to be a high society woman. She doesn't want anything to do with the lower class, and so she's kind of a little far away from where her mother grew up, and her mother grew up on the Sully farm. So poor Marisol has no idea what she is in for. I also don't think she would do very well in the lower class, so hopefully they can sort out a marriage for her that is a little bit more middle class. I mean, they're probably going to have a lot of fielded requests from men who are looking to move upward in the social sphere, because now there's kind of a crack in their reputation. So we'll see what happens. But she's still spending a lot of her time as a proper aristocratic woman, doing some painting, playing instruments. She's not learning any proper skills like cleaning and cooking because she does not anticipate on actually having to do any of those things. She is still very hopeful that she will marry up and can hire a maid, as Philippa does as an elder. She stops by early the next morning. It's 7 a.m. I can't get Philippa to come any later, and I think Philippa is very worried about the state of her family, so she pops in to see the Kings, check in on them, see how they're doing, because she understands it's been a very emotional and trying time for her brother's family. And Philippa takes a lot of credit for the rising of the King family up into the upper class, because Philippa married the mayor, and then Cornelius, her brother, became mayor after that. And so we do have a little jolly merriment around the house thanks to Ernest and Roosevelt. They're very sweet together, and they actually spend a lot of time autonomously. Philippa, of course, finally makes it inside, and Roosevelt is able to get dressed. And here she is greeting her brother "Brother, what news do you have? What is happening? I've been hearing rumors all around town, and you have done nothing to squash them. Like, this is going to cost you your seat as mayor if you're not careful. And of course, Cornelius is just like, it's fine. Don't worry about it, sister. Nothing is going on. These two are, of course, spending a lot of autonomous time together because they are ready, and Ernest is rolling once for their first baby. And so, you know what? I'm kind of like, yeah, let's let this happen. I am ready for an Ernabelle baby. And unfortunately, they haven't conceived the last like 4 times that they have woohooed. So I'm a little bit nervous that we have some fertility issues happening. With minimal fanfare, Louisa aged up into an elder. She just didn't really want to do anything, so I just let her, I let her age up in privacy. And who should call on Ernest but his good friend? This is Rainier Harvey. Rainier is the son of Sophronia Price and her husband, Albert Harvey. And I'm obsessed with Albert, but you know this. I think he looks like a Tim Burton character, and I love him. That is who I'm talking about. However, Ernest is in the study at the moment when he arrives, and instead of really calling on Ernest, Rainier ends up chatting with Marisol for most of the morning. And you know what? I decide to let Ernest actually end up chaperoning them, although I would not say that Ernest is exactly a good chaperone, because he is just sitting all the way in the back, not even facing them, just playing the piano. Like, he's not worried about it. And like, Rainier is his friend, and so he's like, oh yeah, he's not gonna do anything. Like, I trust both of them. I mean, Marisol, of course, would learn from her sister's mistakes. However, Marisol is not her sister. Marisol is not Daisy, but instead her own person who has hatched a plan. So she ends up kind of convincing Rainier to sort of have a little canoodle with her on the couch. She anticipates on getting caught. She knows if she gets caught, then a marriage has to take place to make it reputable. So, as planned, Cornelius catches her. However, he is so shocked and his nerves are so fried at this point that he actually ends up having a heart attack and passing away. Like, I know we've joked about Cornelius having a heart attack, like, all along, but now that it's actually happening, I'm just like, oh my god, why did I, this is my own fault. I made this happen. So, everyone is upset. Marisol is distraught. She absolutely had no idea that this would happen. She thought this was simply a good way to sort out a marriage in an otherwise really challenging market. Here we have Louisa coming downstairs after hearing the ruckus, seeing that her husband of like 25, almost 30 years has passed away. And Louisa is so distraught. Ernest, who witnesses the whole thing, calls over Rainier's father. This is Albert. And they need to strike a deal. He understands that these are very complex situations that have just occurred, and that rumors could actually start to break. But meanwhile, Roosevelt's pregnant, so we've got some excitement happening in the utter chaos that is occurring in the study. So Ernest is kind of using his father's death to leverage a marriage for his sister. And you can see that Marisol is kind of pleased with it. She's still obviously very upset with the ordeal, but she understands that she'll be taken care of if this deal goes through. Albert is at first very skeptical about what is to come, but Ernest eventually kind of sweet talks him and sways him into agreeing that this would benefit both families, because honestly, this would benefit them. Oh, okay, this episode has been an absolute whirlwind of chaos, and unfortunately, Cornelius's office now goes to his son. Meredith still lights the fire in the office because Ernest now gets to take over the study. And so we decide to have a very, very quick, low-key wedding. Not a lot of invites, just the family members. This is very, very much like Lydia from Pride and Prejudice vibes with this marriage. We're just getting it out of the way as fast as possible. But I do decide to have a little winter wedding out in the yard of St. Catherine's Cathedral. So thankfully the wedding starts to go off without a hitch. There's no drama. It's just Rainier's family and the immediate kings. So no like extended family for the most part. And so as you can see, Rainier isn't exactly opposed to the situation. He understands that he's marrying into wealth and that he will be getting a huge dowry from Marisol to actually upgrade their current house. And their house is very fancy on the inside, but it's very like farm cottage on the outside. So I'm excited to see what we can do with the Harvey Lodge to make it a little bit fancier. Meanwhile, as soon as we get home, we get a genie's lamp. And because they are upper class, I actually am going to let them use the genie's lamp. Although I'm thinking about like setting some parameters around the genie's lamp. Like if you're caught in a scandal, you can't use it, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna like keep it on the back burner. Let me know what you think about any kind of like rules or stipulations that we should do with the genie's lamp, and I am happy to participate. So that is going to be where we're ending off today, with Marisol moving out with her new husband, Rainier. So let me know what you thought about this episode, if you're liking the drama. I know it's kind of like a lot of drama with the Kings right now, but I promise things will calm down at some point. And I did want to make a little public service announcement because I am actually starting up a new series on Twitch. We are starting a new Regency neighborhood called Streamford Cross. So we're actually starting this challenge with the sim selves of some of my followers on Twitch and YouTube who are part of the Discord. And so if you have a sim self that you want to add to the new neighborhood, or even to New Whitby, I'm happy to add sim selves to either neighborhood. Feel free to join the Discord and let me know if you are interested. I will be updating in the community on YouTube when we are going to start actually playing the challenge. We're currently still building the houses and sorting everything out on the back end. But I will be updating in the Discord, on Twitch, like on the schedule, and on YouTube when that series is going to officially kick off. It's going to be an exclusive Twitch series, so all of the episodes will be happening on Twitch. However, I will be like saving the streams and uploading them. I don't know if I'm just going to upload them in the raw format or do a little editing to cut them down. So in some format, they will show up on YouTube as well if you don't have Twitch. So that is going to be all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!